Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, I am super excited about my guest today, but before I formally welcome her on, I do want to say a little bit about her because I just think her story is incredible, and we are just connecting for the first time today, which I think is incredible because everybody knows that I never just bring anybody on this show without having that formal conversation, but I am so excited about her. She's amazing. So my guest says a lifetime of disappointment in pharmaceuticals led her to become a holistic health professional. As a child, she was always sick and constantly in the emergency room. She says she never had a day without coughing. In her 20s, she set out to get answers on her own, and then her world was rocked when she found out that her mom had stage 4 cancer and only 6 months to live. So she traveled the world on a mission to find natural ways to help her overcome her health condition. And so anybody who's been following me for any period of time knows that I've had to overcome my own medical conditions. And when you get in a place where you realize and recognize that pharmaceuticals are no longer beneficial, you have to find alternative means to take care of yourself. And so for those of you that have had to do this, or maybe you're doing this now, you're going to want to listen into this because I just think this is an incredible story. But before I get her on here, we need to do a shout out to our sponsors. So today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube films, photography work, or a new headshot, he can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, you're going to want to go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to our friend Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Productions. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. You can learn more about him and his work at upbeatmediapro.com. All right, we are ready to welcome our guest. I'm so excited today. So she's amazing. Inesa, and I'm going to get this last name. I'm going to work on this. Ponomariovaite is the visionary founder and CEO of Nesa's Hemp, the world's first ever full-spectrum CBDa oil. The research-based hemp products she's created combine modern science and ancient wisdom. They're backed by certifications from some of the largest clinical FDA-registered labs, white papers written by Harvard and Stanford cannabis experts and doctors. Inesa's expertise is in restoring the body to homeostasis, where all systems function at their best. And she says her mission is to show people the power and magic of pure hemp by giving them access to the highest quality products on the market, backed by scientific research. So welcome to the show, Inesa. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's definitely my pleasure to educate the world and have an opportunity to bring people in a better place.
I love it. I had such a mouthful I feel like I had to say there, but it's like when I do these bios, I always have to pick out the best things, but I want to tell them everything because I just think, all of you guys that come on here are such amazing people. And, this is how we share what we're doing and talking about the change that we're trying to create is by talking about these things. And so I just have to talk about all of it.
No, thank you so much. It's definitely a lot to it. And we try to always summarize these bios, especially mine. Because there's definitely a lot to it. And the heart is, I always feel it sometimes is bigger than you can even do, So we have only 24 hours a day, but we try the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to start this off because obviously you have this amazing product and then you have this story that kind of inspired all of this and sort of launched this. And I think that's what's so great about when somebody has something like this, because it's not just, hey, you woke up and said, I want to create this product. No, you had a reason to create this product. There was a need in your own life, and now you're transferring that into helping other people. So I kind of back this up a little bit and tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind this amazing company that you created.
It's definitely a great question. And it's not something I chose to create. And I always still sometimes, why did I have to start this whole company? It's not easy to do when you want to do things the right way. So, but as you mentioned a little bit also in my bio, the first thing what I really did is I helped myself to overcome very chronic diseases in my lungs, and my gut issues that I had my entire life. And with that being said, those diseases really led me to not trusting pharmaceuticals. And when I actually started really looking for my own help for on myself, I started trying things in the beginning. I had no idea what I was doing that time, but I was just trying things in the beginning. And more I tried the holistic approach for your body, I started seeing slowly improvement. And from the moment when you're in so much pain and you start seeing that little tiny improvement, it becomes so excited. You just become, oh my gosh, like I can do more. Like, why if I did something else? And you just, after being miserable for so many years, you start seeing little tiny improvements. So what happened to me specifically, that I really investigated the whole this holistic industry. I was like, what else I can do for myself? And within 1 year, after I applied all the different life changes, I was completely able to restore my health from being miserable since the childhood up to around 25, 26 years old. In fact, I couldn't even grow my hair. My skin was, I mean, everything was wrong about me, period. There was nothing right, like physical health. So I kind of knew it was like a planting the seed. I already knew that to nature, the food is your medicine, does have an answer. But it wasn't enough for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to do something about it. It was just like, oh, great. I feel amazing. Now I can continue build my dreams and live this American dream, because I came from Lithuania. I had a really hard start here. It wasn't easy at all. It was very complicated journey to become American citizen. And with that being said, after I felt like I got all my life in place, I was like, wait a minute, is it? Is this American dream? You pay your bills, you have a nice apartment, you have a car, you're putting savings away, and like you go work out, you live this healthier lifestyle, but then is it? So I felt like I'm not serving my purpose. And within probably 1 year, I was like literally on my knees asking God, what's my purpose? Like what I am doing here? What do I need to do? Because I know I have a great job, but I know deep inside my heart, I'm not serving my purpose. So guess what? My mom gets cancer. And she calls me and she says, daughter, I have 6 months left to live. I'm dying. I have cancer. And I'm literally making my shake. I'm getting ready to go to work out. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And my first reaction is, yes, I finally got my answers. I said, oh my God, you're not going to believe. So with that being said, when she told me she got a cancer, I had a vision. And the vision was so strong. It was vision of everything what I'm doing today. And that was like 6 years ago. So that being such, Mom, I said, your cancer is saving thousands of people's right now lives. Mothers, daughters, husbands, sons, like everybody's getting saved. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, I know you're not on drugs. I know you're mentally stable. I know you're not doing alcohol. So I really have to FaceTime you because she thought maybe I'm sleeping, talking or something. It's like, I'm dying. I have 6 months left to live and you're so excited about it. I said, Mom, I was asking God to tell me what's my purpose. And she's like, you're trying to tell me your purpose was like for me to get cancer? and she literally FaceTimed me because she was a little bit confused, and maybe more than confused. She didn't know how to react to it because she's so scared herself. And I'm so excited. I saw the vision within 30 to 40 seconds. I already knew my mom was going to be okay. I just didn't know how. But I said, Mom, she FaceTimed me. I said, I promise you everything's going to be okay. And you just watch. And with that being said, she called me 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 p.m. on the same day. I was already standing in international airport, jumping on the action on my vision that I saw, to know everything about cancer, to know everything about disease, and already knew that pharmaceuticals never served me. And I knew that cancer does have an answer, which is like if you really explore the holistic life and things like that. And I knew where I have to go. I knew I have to go into the natural route instead of the pharmaceutical route. And that's where I started my journey. I started my journey and I spent tens of thousands of hours on cancer research itself. And yes, my mother never done chemotherapy. She never done radiation.
Oh.
And she is very cancer-free. In fact, she just told me yesterday, because she's visiting for holidays, she said she wants to live life just like mine, for her body, mind, and soul. She's asking how to connect with her spiritual and things like that. So we're moving to the next phase right now with my mother. It's not that she is cancer free, but she's actually right now looking how to improve her spiritual life. So, which is a beautiful thing. And yeah, that's how I really started this holistic world. And when my mother was diagnosed as a stage 4 cancer free, as actually was not official stage 4, was stage 3. But then she had in the liver. From the moment it spread it's always a stage 4. Again, but since I knew that the doctor's pushing towards chemotherapy, I cut it off all the basically connection, the medical field, and I said, I'm taking you where we need to be. So we kind of disconnected ourselves from the medical world and we did our own thing. So 4 months later, my mom was actually diagnosed cancer free. And I applied everything what I was learning at that time. And I did not sleep since then. I spent thousands of hours, I mean, days and nights, 7 days a week. Cancer became my passion. If I would hear the word cancer, I would just get excited. I know it sounds beyond crazy. And when my mother got cured officially on the paper, like, where the doctor said, we don't know what happened, but we are happy for you. So that's the moment where, like, wait a minute. It just clicked when in the beginning, Jennifer, when I'm still working her, I still have this like internal, like, make sure everything is going to be okay, because now I'm really in the practice. But when she got that piece of paper saying she is cancer free, I was like, I released all my tension from her. I released all the stress I was going through, like, make sure I'm doing the right thing, make sure I'm really accomplishing what I need to accomplish with her health, right? I'm learning all these things, connecting the worldwide doctors, scientists, undercover ones, like the ones that are on the surface level. And I'm like, and when she gets that piece of paper, I'm like, I'm released. But now, what are you going to do now? You just helped your mom. Like, what are you going to do now? I'm going to start helping others. And that's exactly what I started doing it. I literally, after my work hours, officially work in the office, I used to just go in people's homes and share my knowledge. And it just became my addiction. And all these people started improving. And after all these people start improving, I'm like, I'm getting known for, to the point where people want to literally take my full-time hours, And that time I wasn't even having a company or charging people anything. I was simply being boots on the ground, helping people to improve their lives. And since people see results, automatically the word spreads really quickly. And I was, within 6 months later, after being in volunteering mode, I had to really shift myself and open the company. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, I'm opening the company. It's going to be a consulting company for the health and wellness, because I can't really cure cancers. I mean, I'm here to share the knowledge. So I said, Mom, how do you feel to be cancer free? And she says, I feel like I love to live. And that's why I called Nesa's Love to Live, like my intention for the world, which is Inesa, and then Love to Live as a consulting name of the company based on my mom's feeling, how she felt to be cancer free, which is she loved to live. So this company was really based just for consulting. And yes, people start seeing results and things like that. But then I start digging into this crazy world where, wait a minute, everything that's represented in front of you, that doesn't mean it's true. All those marketing materials, all those facts that they claim to have, and things like that. So when I work with compromised people, like, the quality of ingredients are critical. So anything you do or touch. So at this point, if I'm working with herbal plants, medicine, these herbs needs to be actually not sprayed. They have to be well crafted and all that stuff. So, and that's how I really started the hemp journey, because I want to know the answers for the CBD and hemp products on the market. And more I digged in, not just reading marketing materials, but more like asking company owners questions, setting up the Zoom phone calls, like, what's in your products? Why did you develop certain way? Because I was simply looking for the good hemp product I can refer to people. It was my responsibility to know better, because I feel like these people coming to me and they have all this idea that I have an answers and I'm happy to provide the answers, but then I have to do my own due diligence. And that's where I start investigating entire hemp industry, because more questions I had, more answers I received, I just became, wait a minute, like this is completely don't make sense. Everything what they told me, nothing made sense to me. So to the point where I had to backpack myself, and I said, can I have a permission one day to visit your facilities? Can I have a permission to see your products? Can I have a permission to test your products myself? Because then I started reviewing like laboratory results, like you can fake those also. I didn't know. I was just like everybody, if the lab produces results, it must be real. I didn't know you can fake those. So I was like, what if these products have something that's very dangerous for these cancer patients or people who are sick? So it was a huge responsibility on my shoulders to really know what's in these bottles, because industry is not regulated. So when I started really traveling the country and visiting one by one farmers, facilities, number one producers on the hemp field, I picked the soil samples. I picked bottle samples. You know, there were some companies kicked me out. Some farmers said, "Oh, we grow our local, but the farm is closed." Wait a minute. How the farm can be closed? Farm doesn't even have a door. Farm can be closed. So it's like, what do you mean? Is there like a security or something? Like what? Like is alarm off? Like, what do you mean the farm is closed? Like, all what you need to do, bring me the farm. I want to test your soil and make sure it's nice and clean. I want to check where the plants are growing. There's no exposure to corn or other stuff. And all what I want to do, have a peace of mind that the products I will choose to represent or work with does have a healing properties. I know exactly where they're coming from. So when I represent something to these people, when they ask me questions, I feel confident about it because I know I do my own diligence. So with that being said, what happened is, as I said, it became to the point where I was beyond devastated because lab results came back positive for mold and mercury and lead and like microtoxins, all kinds. And not going to mention the names here, even I have all of them, but some larger producers that are organic certified, they actually were tested positive for metals and parts per billion. And I paid my own lab testing for all these products, okay? And I told these owners, some of them were still talking to me. I said, do you know your products are actually tested positive for actually metals and stuff? Oh yeah, in Colorado we can't avoid that because the oil soil has this very major exposure. And he said, but you're still organic certified. I said, but that doesn't mean anything to me because I know that bottle in parts per billion contains these dangerous things that are not good for human being, especially if you're already compromised. So when these people were saying these things to me, I'm like, wait a minute, you just said you're still organic certified. No, great, organic still allows you to have those loopholes. But at the end of the day, it's like it's the people that have a hope to actually improve their health. And this plant itself has so much of medicinal power only if it did what's right. So I literally, Jennifer, it was beyond belief. I literally was crying. And when I say crying, I shut myself in the house and I was crying when I got back home. I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, what I'm going to do now? The plan has literally a change for the world. And that single one person I personally met and tried to investigate were doing the right thing. So I said, this is not going to go too well. So I decided to contact actually a doctor from Harvard. And that time he was working for a very well-known company in the science department. And I said, can I talk to you? I have some questions. I said, I'm very concerned about this whole industry. And not about the plant itself, about the industry. And he said, what are you looking for? And I start talking a little bit and he's like, listen, I don't want to talk to you. This sounds too much. And he hung up on me. So basically he knew I'm not a scientist. I'm not calling from another Stanford, Harvard, whatever. And he clearly said to me, I'm not interested to talk. And he just hung up on me. I'm like, wait a minute, you're number one expert in the United States. I need answers. I need to talk to you. And I just had to chase him down. I find out he's doing election in California, and I just flew in California to see him afterwards. So I said, you can't hang up on me anymore. You have to talk to me. If you're gonna go in your hotel room, I'm gonna follow you. Like, you have to give me answers. So we sat down for an hours in the lobby, and we ended up, he challenged me. He said, if you're gonna make it happen, what you're looking for, he said, I'll be your number one supporter. But I just want to let you know it's not gonna be easy. You're entering very interesting industry, and there's a lot of things. As he said, there's a products are meant to be produced but not consumed. They're meant to be for sale but not for consumption. And I said, did you just say that? I said, I thought we need to produce products so we can sell them so people can feel better. So long story short is, I figured he's not going to help me and not going to give me any answers. And he gave me some answers, actually. He was very helpful, but he's not going to help me to create my own journey. He said, go figure it out yourself. I was like, okay, I will. So with that being said, then I contacted the doctor from Israel, he's the one who discovered endocannabinoid system. That means you and I, or every person that is born in the human body, does have, it's called endocannabinoid system. And that system is basically your second immunity. So we as people actually mimic the plant. So that's a major discovery. While everybody's been saying for the last 50 years, the plant is criminal, it's going to actually destroy us, and it's not good for us, because it really helps, actually. On the other side, it really helps. But the politics itself about this plant for the last 50, 100 years were completely opposite. So wait a minute, how this plant can be dangerous to me if I'm already basically mimicking the plant? I have these receptors to receive it, just like you have your kidney, you have your liver, you have your vision. It's part of you. The same way you have these receptors, the entire endocannabinoid system. So the person who discovered that, his name is Raphael. And he's the one who actually is from Israel. He's a beautiful professor. I really love him to death. And he finally called me back, which is probably 2 months later, 3 months later, after me trying to reach him. First question, what's university you calling from? I said, not single one of them. What kind of scientist are you? He's like, I'm not a scientist. I said, I have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about the industry, and I would like to talk to the world leader. And so, what is your questions and concerns? And I shared my questions and concerns, and he clearly wished me the best. And I said, okay, what are you going to do now? Like, America's leader tells you, like, wish you the best, and the world's leader tells you the same, and they can't help you because they don't know what I'm looking for. They don't know the company I'm looking for. I was looking for the best integrity plants, and that was the moment I realized, like, this is it. Like, you like it or you don't, Inesa, you have to create a product that really represents the plant and the plant's healing compounds. The way plants designed to be and heal the human body, not the way pharmaceutical version is created right now on the market. So I started studying the plant and compounds, and I realized there's no CBD in the plant. There is no CBD in the plant. Most people don't even know about this. I mean, majority of people, even a lot of doctors don't know. What the active compounds are in the plant is the CBDa. That's the God's given version. THCA. The plant doesn't make you high. The original THC levels actually in the plant is only like 7%, 10%. Right now, we genetically modify up to 70%. Those are not real plants. Those are not the plants we had for thousands of years. Those are plants going to destroy humanity instead of heal the humanity. THC, it's actually a drug because it is patented under the category as an epilepsy, for a drug for epilepsy, I'm sorry. So if it's patented as a drug, must be not natural. Because if it's a natural form, you can't really patent.
Wow.
So, and the whole industry is focusing on the drug again. While the plant itself is standing and asking for actual attention. Hello, I am a CBDA, I'm a THCA. My actual original roots and history does not have 70% of THC that actually going to destroy your brain and still help your brain. The 7% of THCA levels are good for you, but 70%, that's what's happening on the market and sold in the smoke shops, Walmart, and everywhere else. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's beyond belief what's happening in the industry. So that was devastating for me to know the truth and say, okay, I'm just going to sit home, do nothing. So I was basically forced to start Nesa's Hemp because of what I seen and investigated in the industry. And when I found no answers, I said, I'll create answers myself.
Yeah. Wow. Your story, I was listening to it. I didn't want to interrupt you because it's so good. And you know what's so interesting? I mean, I could say so many things about this story right now. You gave me chills when you were talking about your mother, not because I've had to personally, I've never dealt with cancer. I have seen people with it, but in my book, I did talk about when I was going through, and people that have been following me know my story, the ones that have been with me for long enough. When I was going through my health condition in 2012, you talked about when you're in pain every day and you have that little glimmer of hope, when you feel relief, you have that little glimmer of hope. I can remember exactly where I was standing the day that I was in my bathroom and I was getting cleaned up and I was standing in my bathroom. And for a fleeting moment, I had been dealing with this condition for 4 years. And I have something called a suicide disease. It's called trigeminal neuralgia. It's extremely painful. It affects the nerves on the left side of my face. And for a fleeting moment, I had actually started, when this had happened, I myself recognized that pharmaceuticals were not solving my problem. I had been on 6 different medications at one time, including opioids. I was on anti-seizures. I was on anti-inflammatories. I was also taking gastro medication because the anti-inflammatories were making my insides sick. And I started working with holistic practitioners because I started recognizing that the medicine, this wasn't curing. This wasn't solving my problem. It would temporarily ease the pain, but it never got rid of it enough for me to even believe it was working. And all of the side effects that were associated with everything were ruining my life. And I even tell the story that, I was on opioids and I was trying to go to the gym because I was very active before it started. And I remember calling the pain specialist and saying, I need you to reduce my medication because I can't function. I can't drive my car. I can't walk on the treadmill. I couldn't function. And he's like, we can't. Your blood pressure is too high. We got to get you out of pain. And I'm like, but I can't function like this. Like, I can't take this and live this way. And so I started working with these holistic practitioners and moved into changing my diet. I went on keto for 24 months. I removed all the sugar, took a majority of the carbohydrates out of my diet so that I could get the inflammation down, basically rebooted my body. But this is where I think you're going to really appreciate this. It took me 11 months before I saw that moment when I was in the bathroom and I had that fleeting moment where I knew that what I was doing was actually, I was on the path to healing myself. And people have asked me that before. They're like, how did you do? Because keto is hard. If you go from eating a regular Western diet to going full-fledged keto, which I did over a weekend, I did it over Easter weekend, just went cold turkey. And I just said, I'm going to do this. And it was because I had worked up to that point. I had eliminated food out of my diet. It wasn't like I was doing this and then just said, okay, I worked up to it, but I went full on keto. And so people would ask me, how did you stick with it for that period of time, even when you weren't seeing results? And I said, I didn't see an alternative. I knew that I couldn't live the way I was living. I was not going to stay on 6 to 7, 8 medications for the rest of my life. I'd already missed 4 years of my kids' lives. And I wasn't going to do it. I was going to end it. I was not going to live like that. It was going to be over. And I talk about that in my book, how I reached that low where I realized, kind of like you probably have had those moments where this is it. I have to do something different. I have to make that change. So I appreciate you talking about that. But also when you said, when you found out your mom got cancer and you were like, this is my moment. Like, this is not that I want my mom to have cancer, but this is now my purpose. This gives me the reason to pursue my passion. And I can absolutely tell just by listening to you that you are passionate about what you're doing. And I love it because we have to, especially if this is something that is important to you and you are doing something that is going against the grain of what we do here culturally, right? Like, Eastern medicine, any of that kind of medicine is not something that they welcome in the medical establishment, because keeping people healthy, they make no money off of it. If you're healthy, they don't have drugs to sell you, right? And so that's a whole nother topic. I love what you're doing. I'm just going to say, I love what you're doing. And I want to tell you to keep doing what you're doing, because I know the power of food. I know what it did for me. And I just, and I know when you're in that kind of moment where you are sick, I don't care what you're going through. If you're going through something chronic and it lasts more than 2 weeks, your life is being impaired. Your quality of life is being impaired. And when you're in that moment, you will do anything to figure out how to return to normal and anything. And so I did all that exploring. I mean, I did acupuncture, I had chiropractors, I did oils, I did, you name it. If there was something that I could get my hands on to try, I did. And in the end, it was me changing my diet and adding these things. And so I'm a big proponent now, even like now, when something flares up, I'm like, go to my acupuncturist, like, where's my, I had Chinese powders that I was doing not too long ago. I'm always like, I've got my hemp cream that I rub on my back, I've got like different things that I use and stuff. So I love what you're doing. I think it's incredible. And your story is just, it's powerful. So love it. Love it.
No, it's amazing how people went through the same pain can resonate, right? And I'm sure you didn't start sharing the message because, I'm just going to go explore the message and tell the people
right.
You can function better. You don't have to be walking dead. When people say, I feel great, I said, what is your definition of feeling great? Like, I ask people, like, because you don't have miserable pain today? Like,
right.
If people really knew the potential of the human body and spirit, if people really knew, I can promise you everybody would have the best life, zero stress. And even if they had stress, it would be, it's really not what happened to me, it's how I'm going to react to it. So, and that turns into the mission. For me to know that I can make the difference, Nesa's Hemp, it's just, yes, we are most certified product. Yes, we're most tested product. Yes, it works 100%. Yes, it's biological. Yes, I created the soil that's just like 2,000 years ago. Yes, there's so much what I did for this product. 2 years it took me just to prepare the soil, to get the product right. Frequencies and living compounds and everything what's in the plant. It's just, but you know what? This brand itself is on a mission. And that's why I fly to top American team for children in Miami. I educate them on nutrition. I create a different message for children. The goal is to create new systems. And I don't believe being funded by somebody because I don't want to ever be manipulated by somebody. Mm-hmm. So I decided to create all these systems myself. It's so easy, Jennifer, to fix the problems. If somebody gave me unlimited funds right now, and I don't really need unlimited, I don't know, $50 million, which is, if every multi-millionaire ever puts just only $1 million away, I can guarantee you we can have a completely new society within 90 days. Would be zero crime, everyone is beyond healthy, or if it's you in critical stages, at least halfway through to overcome them. So there's a ways to fix it. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to spread the message, but at the same time, when I'm done with my physical work with people and clients and the company itself, after hours, I'm creating my blueprint, what I'm working on it. I'm working in the shelters, I'm working with children, I'm working against human trafficking, all those things. All those things require funds, and that's what the Nesa's Hemp is for. Not just stand for being the best product on the market that is safest and the most effective, but it's actually using these funds to create a better society. Because I know you can really do it. As long as you want to do it, as long as you have that intention from your heart, you're going to be able to do it. So my mom's cancer was just an answer to my purpose in life. And I always knew that I'm missing a part. I just didn't know what it was. And my mom as she says, she's the luckiest woman in the world to have a daughter like that. But I'm not here to praise myself. I'm saying, Mom, when my birthday comes, which is a couple of weeks ago, I celebrate her. I don't celebrate me. Because she's the one who brought me to this world, and she's the one who helped me recognize my purpose. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for spreading that message, because I want people to know that they have, no matter what the doctors ever told them, they have a full potential to function and live almost as much as they wanted to, as long as they wanted to. There's a ways right now to actually extend human biological age, and it's natural ways. You use certain mushrooms from the nature. You use certain herbs, plants, changing your diet. It's a proof on black and white piece of paper that your biological age can be extended, and you still can look great and feel great and get older as very happy, healthy human being. So you don't have to be sick. You choose to be sick. And if you're lazy enough not to listen to a podcast or not to do a little extra homework, a little research, then it's your choice. But the information is out there. Yes, it's hard to be the mainstream, but that's why you're here spreading the message. That's why people need to connect themselves on the platforms like yourself so they can understand better, look for answers, get answers. So thank you so much for for your journey. We're both sharing the same pain, but it's amazing into the mission, you know?
Yeah. And it is, you know, it is a tough thing. I think that, you know, we were talking off camera a little bit before we came on here. We were talking about the, you know, the coming together and finding the right people to spread the message, because you can say all day long to people to go do these things, right? But until they actually start witnessing the things themselves and start kind of walking through it. And I say that because for me, that's exactly what I had to do. You know, people look at me now and think, okay, I just turned 50. So I'm in my 50s now, and I'm kind of in that space where I've been taking care of myself now for a while, but I wasn't always that way, you know, and it wasn't until I feel like there were pieces, because I used to teach, I was a fitness trainer for a while, and I was active when my medical condition had happened. But, you know, I've told this story many, many times. And I know people that have followed this podcast are probably so tired of hearing it, but I've told this story that when I first started going through my medical stuff, I walked into this holistic practitioner's office, and he said, Jennifer, what was going on in your life at the time that this incident happened? Now, keep in mind, Inesa, I went into the dentist to get a silver filling taken out of my mouth from when I was a child. We now know that the mercury in those things are problems, right? I did not know that at that time, because this was before I had done any research into anything. And so I get this filling out. They put a new white composite in there. 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, I've got severe nerve pain in the left side of my face. Nothing's controlling it. I can't brush my teeth. I can't put my makeup on, can't comb my hair. Everything's triggering it. Anyways, this holistic practitioner asked me this, and I got angry because I was like, you know, wait a minute. I went into the dentist and this happened to me. I was so bitter about it because my life had been, you know, had been ruined, is ruined now. Like, I'm looking at myself going, I'm going to have this condition for the rest of my life. I have a choice. Stay on opioids, get off of opioids. This is my choice. This is what I'm thinking. I don't really understand that there's any other way to try to heal myself at this point. Now, the funny thing in that, this was back in like 2015, I think, probably little over 3 years after all this started. And then I wrote my book in 2019. And this is after I had come out of it, changed my life. I became a marathon runner during that time. I really understood a lot more about like cancer, inflammation in the body. And I understand, you know, I don't know near as much as you do, but I did study a lot of stuff about like mushrooms and all of those things, and met a lot of incredible people along the way. So I write in my book, I go back and I talk about how I kind of laugh at this now, because now I can say, okay, well, when all this happened at that time of the onset, my kids were 16, 12, and 8. So I was homeroom mom. I was PTA mom. I was field trip mom. I was running a business. I was the karate mom. I was the lacrosse mom, the soccer mom. I was the mom doing all these things. So guess what was happening? We lived in the fast food lane because we were always in a rush going from point A to point B. My entire life was chaotic, right? And so I could look at that later on, and I wrote a whole chapter in my book about minimalism and letting things go and just prioritizing your life and what is important, like all these things that we do, because it's not just about the food, but all these things we do in our life, the people that we allow in, the activities we engage in, the inability to say no to things we don't really need to be partaking in, right? And so it was really like this light bulb went off, and it's not, you know, I tell people, did you just wake up one day and you go from here to here? No, these are the little transgressions that we go through in life. When we go through these journeys, we learn more things, and we start looking and going, okay, I was doing this. That's not really something I should be doing in my life, because it's not adding to the value of my life. It's causing stress, right? It's causing all this havoc. And so I think that it is. It's about these journeys we go through. And like you mentioned something a few minutes ago that was really good about the research, going and doing the research. Those of us that want to heal ourselves, we get passionate about healing ourselves. We do the research. We don't just sit back and take one doctor says an answer to us. My daughter's going through something right now and a doctor tells her something. I said, you don't have to take the word of that doctor. Go find another doctor. If you don't like the answer you're given, go ask another one, because they're all human. They can make mistakes. We know they do. When in the ER, I was dealing with a condition last September to March that was actually related to this. They're all connected. Another thing brought up. I went to the ER 4 times, was misdiagnosed 4 times. I knew all along what was going on. I had a suspicion what was going on. Nobody would listen to me. Nobody would listen to me in the ER. Finally, I had to go out of network to get work done. I had to pay out of network, out of my insurance, because I couldn't get in. Finally, in December, this started in September, right the day before Christmas, I finally get a diagnosis. And I ended up having a minor procedure done in February to help it. But really, I have to keep it under control by my diet. I have to watch what I eat and how my stress levels, all the things that are going on. So to your point about food and the body, 100%, I believe the body's a miraculous thing. And if given the appropriate nutrients and rest and care, it has the ability to heal itself and to give you the quality of life that you want. And so this whole idea of what's a great life? No. What is a great life to you? If you're in pain and you're just saying, I'm out of pain today. No. That's not what we want. To be feeling good, right? We want to feel good and live our lives. And that's, I think, what this is all about. So thank you for what you're doing. I know I went off on a long tangent there, but thank you for what you're doing, because it's important.
No, absolutely. It's my pleasure to do. And as I said, definitely on the mission to change the world, and I'm looking forward to bring the legacy here and bring the revolution we needed for a long time now.
That's awesome. What if I do want to ask you a question, because I know we've talked a lot. This is going to be a good one for my health people that are just really exploring. They're going to love this one. I want to ask you though what you've learned about yourself in this journey on a personal level, because you've really have done like some really remarkable things in this process.
I learned beyond a lot, and I'm still discovering a lot more actually. But what I learned about myself, really value myself and value my time. There is no people can be cured, but there's no disease cannot be cured, but there's people can be cured because their minds is not ready to be cured, right? So before I used to go and almost try to convince them they have to get better because there is a lot of solutions. They have to get off the drugs. And they're simply so programmed by drinking the tap water with nanotechnology and over 100 parasites in the water. They're programmed to believe in their own journey. So before I used to try to convince them almost, it's like, please stop suffering. There's so many solutions. You're going to see results minimum within 2 weeks. No matter how bad you are, within 2 weeks, you can start seeing results. They're still choosing that drug, that chemical, the pill. So at this point, what I learned that really value myself and spend the time on the ones that are ready to change, ready to transform, ready to get rid of the root of the cause in their body. And I just learned to value myself and say no to almost a lot, like 99%. People want to spend time with me, I say no. Because I just learned to say no, and I learned exactly what is my value and how I'm going to actually divide this value 7 days a week on my schedules, make sure I'm bringing the mission in the world. So I learned much more, but I don't want to get into it because it's because I feel like this message really needs to resonate with a lot of people, and that's why I shared this specific message, because I want people to know that anybody comes to you, they're coming with their own need to fulfill their need. And all what you do, even you had the 5 things to do today, but because now you're filling their need and you don't even know how serious they are, now you can accomplish your own journey. If it's a health, maybe it's workout, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's help your wife or husband or achieve your goal or financial, learn something. So make sure you choose who you're surrounding yourself with and who is trying to take your energy away. Be true to yourself and never lower your standards. Never, I would say, never be the one who's actually ignoring people. But it's like, wait a minute, if I'm bringing the value here, if it's any value exchanging, or this person is incurable because their mind is incurable. So I learned to say no, and I learned exactly who I am, what's my purpose, and you can be the richest person in the world, because I had a few of those contacting me because they had brain cancers and multiple other things. I clearly said no to them. I said, your disease are curable, but your mind is not. That's it. And even you are the multi-billionaire today, the whole country knows you, but I can't help you because I clearly stated a few facts, and I saw your mind is not curable. You are not accepting information. So yes, learn to value myself was one of the biggest things that I want your people resonate, your audience.
I love that too, because I think that is so important. As you were saying that, I could just like feel that, because you know what kept coming to mind? Have you seen the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio? Have you ever seen that movie? Okay. Well, the whole idea with the movie is like changing, like it's a sci-fi movie, and I'm not even a big sci-fi, but I'm working with a mentor, and it was something that we had to watch as part of our program. In the idea, they talk about, you know, planting seeds into an idea into somebody's head, and then they have to run with the idea. And I feel like when we're in a position with, you know, we're doing different things, but we're both in the position of trying to do transference of belief, trying to get people to see that there's another way to change their life, right? Yours is with your product. Mine is through helping people go to people like you, find people that can be alternative ways of helping them gain, you know, whether it's health or, like you said, financial success or business success, right? But here's the idea. Your mind, you're absolutely right when you say your mind is not right. And that's the thing, you know, when I realized, for me personally, when I was going through my stuff, that so much of it has to do with the way I'm thinking. If I'm thinking I'm going to be not healthy, I'm not healthy. And this is why I don't allow myself to think like that. Like, I'm a fighter. And so I think that, yes, your brain, the way you're thinking has so much to do with what we do. But it has to be their idea, right? Like, it has to be their thing, because no matter how hard we push, if their minds are not ready, they're going to resist. They have to come to the table saying, I'm looking to learn. I'm looking to grow. I may not necessarily understand what you're doing. I may not agree with what you're doing, but I'm open to learning about what you're doing. Okay. And maybe, just maybe, you're going to prove me wrong. You know what I mean? I think it's that coming to the place of, I want to learn. And I think that's where you and I are. We've sort of always been kind of, and I don't know you, I just met you, but I feel like you and I are kind of like soul sisters in some weird way, that we come to the table, we just say, I'm open to learning more and asking questions and seeing if and you're finding that because of what your work is and what your research is proving. It's showing all of that. But I think initially that had to come from that exploration, that willingness to say, question what's going on now, and saying, there's got to be something more. There's got to be better. And that's how I look at and try to teach people, is that you don't have to believe that, like I said, you don't have to believe the first thing you hear. If it doesn't feel right, if your gut doesn't feel right with it, you have the ability to say, I'm going to ask another question, and I'm going to get another opinion, and I'm going to dig a little deeper, right? Dig a little deeper. But it all starts here. It all has to start there first. It's a thought first.
It is a thought first. And sadly, we know about the pharmaceutical world now, because I feel like now everybody's really waking up to that thing. But what I personally see, what I investigated under my major research, is I'm the person who always wants to know why you're blocked from information. What triggers in your body, in your brain, in your thoughts, in your neurological, that you decided not to take the action to save yourself, and you decided to take the route. So based on my research and what I'm learning right now, there's a technology has been released on people. And that technology has been actually going through the sky, chemtrails, and the water. That's why you have to make sure you're drinking the best water you can possibly can. And it's with nanotechnology, and actually activates within your parasites in the body. And you can really control people's brains and, let's say, become ignorant, become resistant, become whatever you need to become. You can be controlled to think and act certain way. And there's a frequencies used for that. There's a love frequency, for example. There's a hate frequency. If I'll say certain things and I'll use the frequency to spread love, and I'll use the frequency, you're going to feel like you want to believe it in that information. And if I'll use the hate or the other frequencies and I'll spread the message through the news channels or whatever, you're going to believe because of that frequency has the way to trigger your body. So
interesting.
It is a way to program these people, because I was always trying to understand why in the healthy world you have these beautiful children, you have everybody who needs you, and you have a solution. It doesn't cost you anything. You can see results in 2 weeks and you're still saying no to it. It just no makes sense. So I started like really investigating what causes them, because you're seeing 50-50. You would be surprised when people come to me, say, save me, help me. 50% would say, yes, I'll do what it takes. And 50% would say, tell me what it takes and I'll tell you if I can do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, so again, I really like to study the root of the causes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If the disease doesn't go away, why? Why the disease are still in the body? For me, when someone is cured or complete, disease should go away completely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Eating like healthy foods, it's stopping feeding the disease. But then you have to get rid of disease by doing protocols and things like that and being consistent. So when you get rid of disease and you stop feeding the disease, you're in a perfect shape. You're good. You're good for life. You're good for as long as you want to live on this beautiful earth.
Yeah. You said something a minute ago and I like forgot, but it was good. It like stuck with me for a minute and then I just lost it about when you were talking about the resistance to change, like you said, 50% will come to you and they're like, I'm open, I'll do whatever. The other 50 will be like, tell me it and then I'll tell you if I can. I think coaching, what I do, it's the same thing. They come to me and they're like, hey, I want to grow my business. I want to be a better entrepreneur. I want to learn how to scale this. And then they'll say, well, tell me what you can do. And then I'll tell you if I can. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. You got to be ready. You got to come to the table and be like, I want to do what it takes to get to that next level. Right. And that's how I think everything that we should do is, I mean, there's no, like, I always use, you're going to laugh about this. I sort of kind of use marriage is a joke for this, like a metaphor. You don't go into a marriage going, I'm going to get married today and I'm going to see if it works. No, who does that? Like, who does that? Like, do you do that? I mean, I guess maybe do. Maybe that's why the divorce rate is so high. Do people do that? Because I'm just like, you wouldn't be logically thinking like that. No, you go into that and you say, I'm getting married. I'm hopefully this is good. I'm intending that this is going to work out, right? They don't always do, but you go into that kind of thinking that way. So I think it's funny, but I think people are resistant to change. And a lot of it goes back to, like I said, what you're saying, there's a lot of social pressure, conformity, but also there's on the macro picture, I think of that. And then I also think it's just our inability to just, that's why I think there's so few entrepreneurs that do, people that do great things have to go against the norm. They have to go against the grain. They have to be different. They can't follow the suit. And that's just the way it is. And it's hard to do that. What you're doing is hard. And that's why I applaud you for it, because I think that your heart is in the right place. And I think you're passionate about it. And I think you legitimately have a reason to be able to do what you do. But I'm not going to lie. I think it's hard. And you're kind of saying that. I think it's just anytime you're doing things that go against, and in your case, establishment, what we're used to seeing, and so many people are just not educated enough to know any different. I think they are starting now to question more things given what we've been through for the last few years. I was already way before that started. It didn't take me that long to figure it out, but a lot of people it did, but you and I are in a different place. We kind of knew stuff going into that, so I think what you're doing is remarkable. And like I said, I just want to tell you to, keep working at it. Stay, faithful to your calling and your purpose. I don't think I even need to tell you that. I think you're already there. So, if our listeners want to find out a little bit more about your product, I mean, all your amazingness, what you're up to, where do we want to send them?
I think our online site it's probably the best option, and there's lots of information. And if you want to spend some time to read, you're welcome to. But the products can be placed online on the Nesa's, Nesas, Nesas, hemp.com. And yes, you can. I'm actually not directly responding customer service. There's teams that are actually working behind the scenes. But if you have any questions to connect with me or something like that, just you're welcome to actually ask for Inesa and make sure you state the reason why you want to connect. And you're welcome to. So, but yes, products are definitely amazing. They work. We do offer 25% off for the first purchasers. If people want to buy monthly or every 6 weeks, we offer like a cheaper rate, which is you do on subscription model. But products do work. If somebody says product don't work, I ask them to increase the dose and product starts working within a minute. So there is no such thing as product doesn't work. Our product literally legit always produce 100% results. Yes.
I love it. I love it. We'll make sure to, Inesa, when this goes out, we'll get the website in there so that they can click on it and go to it and find you easy. You're not hard to find, but we'll make sure it's in there so that they know where to go. So I'm excited for what you're doing. I definitely want to keep in touch with you and follow your work and see what, how you grow in this and kind of keep evolving in this. I just think you're amazing. And I love your abdominal, just your spirit. Like, I just love that I can tell you're a fighter. And so I love that about you. So thank you for being on the show today. You've been great, and for sharing and telling us about your journey. I think there's going to be some people out there that can resonate with this and definitely, are hearing what you're saying. So thank you for that. We also want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook, because we can't do this without you. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. And we want to leave you with our always same parting thought for the episode. In order to live the extraordinary, you have to start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.